Good evening, everyone. Thank you again for joining us for the last session of Mentorship Tuesdays. My name is Haifa and I'll be your host for tonight. And I would like to thank everyone who's been with us for the last few weeks, trying to learn from our mentors. And of course, I'd like to thank our mentors who has been with us for weeks too, sharing their knowledge, skills, and even secrets to our mentors. Now, let's get into it. So, if this is the first time that you would be joining mentorship sessions, then this is a quick overview for you. So, what is mentorship sessions or what are mentorship sessions? So, essentially, it's a session that provides a virtual and safe venue for beginners, StackLeague challengers like you to learn and improve your coding skills with gold level challengers. And also for Mondays, that's for intended for unranked participants who want to level up to bronze. And then for Tuesdays, these are for bronze challengers who want to level up to silver and eventually to gold. And how it works, of course, only registered participants are allowed for these mentorship sessions. And also for our schedule, we only do this one 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. We will do the introductions for our mentors, and the rest of the minutes will be allotted for you to ask your questions and for our mentors to answer those questions. We also have some advanced questions that we get to answer in the live session. And then in the last 10 minutes, we will be wrapping up the session for final tips and wrap up messages. And then our requirement for the mentorship session itself is that you must at least solve one challenge to experience firsthand the difficulty of the coding environment. And then if you have any questions, you just need to submit them to StackLeague Mentorship Questions. So that's bit.ly/StackLeague Mentorship Questions. And during the mentorship proper, you will have a copy of the unlisted YouTube link, which you will be receiving through your emails. And then that's when the YouTube link, you will be able to submit your questions from there. And then during, if your question is chosen, we will be your question will be flashed on the screen and our mentors will answer. And also one more thing, mentees are not allowed to disclose the challenge question. You do not copy, paste, or take a screenshot and upload it to ask your mentors. Any form of disclosing the SACLEAGUE challenges online is ground for disqualification. And then if you will be able to level up, congratulations. As long as you will be able to level up within Friday before 11:59 a.m. of the same week, you will be qualified to become one of our mentorship graduates. You just need to submit your SACLeague ID and all the other details requested there. And then you will be receiving your certificate of completion automatically. And then by the day after you complete your level up, you will be announced as part of the mentorship graduates. And this is how it looks like for you bronze level challengers as you try to conquer your silver level questions. And with that one, let's go ahead and introduce our mentors for tonight. So first mentor we have is welcome Jeremiah Daniel Regalado. He's one of our gold challengers and also in part of the individual weekly top 10 for multiple weeks now this year. So here you go, Jeremiah. Welcome.
Thank you, Miss Haifa. Welcome to our mentees for this Tuesday mentorship session. I wish you all the best.
All right, sige. So next mentor that we have is Jerome Antido, although Jerome is not yet here, but Jerome is also one of our gold level challengers and also weekly top 10 of multiple weeks. And third one, we have Stephen Jansen Balo. So he's also a gold challenger for multiple weeks now and part of the Stack League 2022 and 2021. Stephen, welcome.
Good evening. Good evening also to our mentees and also to my commenters. for this evening. And once again, feel free to ask questions, whether it's technical or non-technical. We are very much happy to uh, assist you in conquering your silver challenge. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Stephen. And finally, we have our grand champion from last year, Daniel Bagaforo. Welcome, Daniel.
Good evening, Miss Haifa and our mentees. I hope one of one of the 9 bronze challengers here right now will be our first silver graduate.
Ayan, sige. So thank you so much again everyone for joining us, and if you have any questions, feel free to chat them in the chat box below. So now let me just go on. We do have one question from yesterday that we didn't get to answer. He submitted this one ahead of time, or not exactly ahead of time, during, but in the form. So I'll just ask here. So we have one question from Paolo Veneracion. It's up to us how we are going to understand or in what context he's trying to ask this, but I let you guys feel free to understand what he's trying to ask. So this is the question from Paolo Veneracion. What do you do when creating something new? Okay. So medyo general siya, but I would assume that this is related to coding. So it could be if you are trying to conquer new challenge or creating a new code or new project. Maybe he is asking about what is your process as you go through it. Sige, let's start this time with Stephen. Stephen, what's your answer to Paulo's question here?
Siguro, i-ano ko na lang po, yung pag-interpret ko nito. uh, Creating something new, I guess it's when new challenge, new problem sa Stack League. So, if first I just analyze po yung the problem, like, and I try to grab, depende if the problem is needs you to visualize, especially if meron siyang geometry or whatsoever, no? So I try to write down some ideas, um, I illustrate them. For example, I may certain input, how will the program will work out, ano niya, yung flow niya. And then after that, I just started to, once I have a concrete idea na how the step by step algorithm for that problem, started to write a pseudocode and then translate that pseudocode into an actual programming language. Yun po.
Sige, thank you for that, Stephen. So more on parang yung step-by-step process is you try to understand first yung kung ano yung requirements, and then you create your own pseudocode, and then that's the time wherein you convert it to actual code already. Sige, so that is the process for Stephen. Let's ask our other mentors. Jeremiah, how about you? How are you taking this question?
Um, at first po, no, I thought this is something like for contributor level po na challenge where we get to contribute like creating new challenges. But I think since this came from uh, uh, yeah, from yesterday, from I think he's still referring to the functions po, no? Solutions. So I think when I'm creating a new solution like a function for a specific problem in StackLeague, I tend to first write the default template for the language that I've chose. For example, I'm using Python, so if it is a functional type, I will follow the format, the template specified in the problem, or if it is in the form of OOP, I will also copy the format. Then I will also write down other templates that I need first to start before coding the other technicalities involved in the problem. Next, then I will also analyze the problem. I Before I used to have a pseudocoding, but this time I get comfortable with directly writing it into programming codes. But whenever I'm getting confused, I actually get a piece of paper and try to draw some what do you call this, diagrams po, no, to help me and to help me keep track of what's going on within my code. For example, if this is the case, what will happen, and what if this is the case, what will happen. But first po pala, I ensure po na I will catch all the possible errors first, no? All the possible errors that will happen, so that the function will not proceed if there's an error already at the start. No? That's what I always do in order to save time as well, so that the function will not run if it is not working already at first. Then it will proceed po with the functions na I as how I analyze the problem, how it works, and how I'd be able to solve the problem. And with that po, following that structure, I am able to create something new na solution for that specific problem.
All right. Thank you for that, Jeremiah. So on your end naman, you start with a template. So you work with a template first and then you try to understand yung requirements. And then currently, if you're confident na you go straight ahead with the code. But if you have confusing areas, you are at the state wherein it's a bit confusing on you, then you go back similar to what Johnson does, wherein nagsusudo code ka or even create diagrams for it. And then that's a good tip din, no, na you have that, you try to catch the errors already para mag-run siya. So that's a really good strategy. And then that's when you try to address the whole challenge part. Did I miss anything, Jeremiah?
That's right po, Miss Haifa.
Okay, sige. Thank you for that, Jeremiah. And also, we'd like to acknowledge one of our mentees for tonight, Medgar Sol. Welcome. So, Medgar is from Beliran State University. Okay, so lastly, we have Daniel. Daniel, how do you answer this question from Paolo Veneracion?
Okay, so based sa context sa StackLeague and mga most likely no, ano pa siya, unranked pa siya. So, yung question niya, I will take it na ano, finding a new solution, ganon. So, whenever I find a new solution po, yan, nag-create ako ng bagong solution for a problem. Most likely po, ano pa na ba? I look back po sa mga past challenges ko po na nagawa po, past source codes po. I have a ano po, I don't know if you guys know that yung sa Visual Studio Code po, pwede nyo po ano yan? Control F, tapos i-find niya po lahat sa files niyo po. So, I really like that tool kasi parang yung mga classes ko po na nagawa doon, yung mga functions po, ganon. So, mas madali. So, I can use it for the next challenges po na nagawa ko po. Yun po. So, more on looking back po talaga. Tapos ano.
Ayun, sige. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Daniel. So for the next question, let me just can you just and we have one question here. So can you guys answer? Do you have any programmer that you look up to as of today? Maybe let's start with Daniel, followed by Jeremiah, and then Stephen.
Programmer po na I look up to. I used to stalk a programmer's GitHub po. Si ano yan? Kevin Atienza. Do you know it? Do you know her po? Him po. So, ano po siya, I think, siya po yung top competitive programmer po sa Southeast Asia po as of the moment. He's Filipino. Tapos, he's currently working as a machine learning po engineer po ngayon.
Sige.
Yes.
So, ano yung ulit yung name niya, Daniel?
Kevin Atienza po. You guys can search it
Kevin
online.
Atienza. Ayun. So, Kevin
Opo.
Atienza. Alright. Thank you for that, Daniel. At least we know who the people. And it's good also that he's Filipino. And we can try to see and follow ano yung mga progress din niya and yung mga things that he could share, tips and tricks din for everyone. Sige, how about Stephen? Ano yung, do you have anyone, do you have any programmer, someone that you look up to?
Actually, wala po akong individual person na look up to, but in general, yung usually yung mga tutorials on YouTube, especially yung mga Indians na magagaling talaga nila. It comes to that. Actually, almost majority ng mga tutorials ang sa kanila galing eh. So yeah, I guess these are that's what I look up to. Yung mga yun.
Ayun. So, sa tutorials daw, marami talagang mga Indians din. How about mga Filipinos? Gawa din kaya yung mga Filipinos ng more tutorials para other Filipinos can also learn. Ayun. Thanks for that, Stephen. Jeremiah, on your end.
On my end naman po, I really idolize this specific guy. I found him on YouTube last year, I think. I stumbled across his short video clip po show us with the title Winning Google Kickstart uh, 2020 round. I forgot the round, but parang super bilis niya lang po na sinolve yung Google Kickstart. For those who are not familiar, Google Kickstart po is what do you call this? A competitive programming competition po siya by Google. I really find it amazing on how he utilized the C++ language in order to solve all those problems with ease, and he managed to top that in just I think 17 minutes before he is going to go somewhere, as he stated in the video. So he is actually William Lin, a Taiwanese competitive programmer, um, and he is currently studying in Massachusetts Institute of Technology as a freshman, and I really adore him and I want to be also a good competitive programmer like him.
Ayan. So, ano yung name niya, Jeremiah, again? Is it, ano yan, William Lin?
Yes po, William Lin.
Okay, William Lin. Ayun. How about you, mentors? Well, why, as you, siguro for now, wala pa kayong someone that you admire the most. But maybe throughout the league or throughout your programming journey, you will bump into multiple people, programmers, the ones who will create tutorials, and there you will have favorites then. And with that one, hopefully, you will be able to check out yung mga minention nila Jeremiah and Daniel so that you will also have people that you will look up to and follow their steps as well. Ayun, sige. And with that one, related naman to sa most of the time you bump into these people that you admire. And then definitely with that one, you bump into them kasi you're trying to learn from them and try to learn ano yung mga tips and tricks din nila. From the tips and tricks that you learned from these people, ano yung mga nag-stick sa mga tutorials na from, let's say, if from kay Jeremiah, it's William, and then kay Daniel, it was Sir Atienza, and Stephen from the tutorials that you read from the people. Ano yung mga recent na lang na nag-stick na tips nila and you think would also be helpful to share with our mentees tonight? Sige, let's start this time with Jeremiah.
I think po, oh, one of the most na remarkable po na parang sinasabi ni William ah, sa mga sa mga videos niya po na while he's coding, he always emphasize na hindi siya magaling right at the start, no. What he is right now, he really worked hard to achieve na yung ganong level ng achievement since he was coding like since he was still young. If I remember it correctly, he really loves it and he really has passion for it. And so it would be not really the same if we are to compare right away, lalo na if we're just starting. So he always say na practicing over and over and doing it regularly will definitely help. No? So that's why I always allot time for programming every day na kahit 2 to 3 na activities for programming man lang before I sleep. I really strive na to achieve those na para hindi mawala yung knowledge na na-acquire ko at saka hindi siya mag-fade away kasi I tend to have that puno like ngayon alam ko siyang gawin, alam kong i-solve, but then if I were to not nurture yung mga na-acquire ko na yun, later on they probably fade from my mind, or if like may bago kong na pag-interesan, malilive ko siya, then if I were to come back, medyo mahirapan na ako. So for me, sayang siya. So I think focus on what you really want and yun nga, keep doing things regularly and in order to hone the skills that you currently have. Yun po yung talagang nag-sink in sa akin po.
Ayun, thank you. So, practice regularly. And you're right, parang ano din yan, pag hindi mo always siya ginagamit, you don't get to practice them likely. Makakalimutan mo siya. And for Jeremiah naman, Jeremiah prefers to do 3 programming activities at least each day. So, that kind of consistency is really admirable there, Jeremiah. Okay, next up, we have Daniel. Daniel, ano yung nag-stick sa kay what's his name again? Kevin Atienza, tama
Opo,
ba?
Kevin Atienza po.
Yun. Yes.
So,
Okay, go ahead.
si Kevin Atienza po, I really haven't met him po. Pero yung mga achievements niya po and yung mga yung pinapakita niya po is more on sa gawa po. Right now po, siya siya contributor po siya ng NOIPH po. Do you know that po? Okay,
No.
hindi.
Mm-mm.
So po siya, parang community po siya sa Code Forces. Yung ginagawa niya po doon alongside with sa team niya, nagtuturo po sila sa sa mga high school students, sa mga bata po na interested sa math and programming po. So sometimes po sumasali din po ako doon, and yeah, the problem setter po siya doon. So yeah, the problems really are kind of hard tapos challenging po. Minsan hindi ko po nasa-solve ganun. So yeah, parang more on po siya. Ini-inspire niya po yung mga kabataan po talaga na to take on these kinds of challenges and maybe make a career out of it po. Another thing po, po siya, sa Code Forces po, siya po yung unang red coder ng Philippines po. So yeah, really into
Ayan.
competitive programming po talaga siya.
Ayan. So, it's really the inspiration there, no,
Opo.
Daniel? Okay, that's really good. Thank you for that, Daniel. How about Stephen, on your end, sa mga tutorials or people that you look up to, ano yung mga nag-stick na tips nila?
For me po, yung pinaka nag-stick talaga, although marami naman talagang stuff na na-learn ko through tutorials and other books nga. But the one that is always applicable talaga for me is, as a programmer din, is yung ano, yung The Art of Readable Code. It was a book. At from then on, I've learned how to write codes that are understandable, na not just on yourself but also to your kapwa na developers that will try to read your code, kasi importante talaga yung readability ng code. Like to be very useful if you for debugging, you can understand how your code works. Kung may problem, like let's say there's a bug in your code, so maano lang just by reading your code, you can easily identify those bugs. And also ano pa ba yun? Basta yun, yun talaga yung pinaka ano sa akin, nag-stick to the art, how to write maintainable code that is uh, understandable not to yourself but also to your other developers.
Ayun. Thank you for that, Stephen. Just to ano na lang, industry insight. So, that's a really good tip na nag-stick na you make your code readable. So, just to share with you, this is industry insight naman, is that when you try to work with codes, hindi lang naman ikaw yung gagawa ng code mo. So, you will be working with teams. And if ever you will be moving to a different work, yung magme-maintain ng ginawa mo is likely someone else. So it's very important na yung mga best practices for now, especially if you're still new, it would really help if yung mga naming conventions ninyo is really something na relatable or it made sense. Hindi yung variable nyo is you put variable ABC, variable XYZ, or variable X. So you have to identify what's this variable for. Ano ba yung ginagamit mo ba to? Let's say you are creating, this is a variable, a person, or this is a coin, or any other, as long as it makes sense yung pangalan dun. So it's not just even the variables, you also make your functions more friendly, or ano ba yung purpose ng function na to? So you don't just put there function X or function Y. So you try to make it readable, understandable for you, para it's easier then for you to debug. And of course, not just that, but moving forward, 10 years from now, ginagamit pa rin yung code mo, and someone else can still read your code and improve them further. Ayun. So hopefully you will learn from that one. And thank you for that one, Stephen, for really sharing that tip. And that's really one of the best practices din today. Ayun, sige. So now we've spoke about yung mga tips from our admirable programming leaders. And for you naman, based on your experience, so this one, nagborrow tayo ng mga tips from our idols. For this one, for you naman, mentors, ano naman yung tips ninyo for our mentees na specific na they were able to conquer their bronze challenge. Now they're moving to their next level, which is silver. And then heads up na lang din that they will be taking gold. For you, based on your experience, ano naman yung tips ninyo for them? Ayun, sige. Daniel, for you, what are your tips for our mentees here?
So, nasabi ko na to kanina, it's about looking from your past challenges po and deriving a new solution from yung mga lumang source code nyo po. So, ganun po. Parang if ever you are lost, you can just look back po talaga, and also you can also look from yung sa code po din po ng iba and sa solutions nila. You can always look for those po. Tapos, study it. It's okay na parang hindi ikaw talaga yung nakasolve, kasi at yung doon, yung parang yung ng challenge doon is para matuto ka. So yun. Kahit kinopya mo lang, kahit you took some inspiration sa iba, it's okay kasi natuto ka din. You can use it in your next challenges pa ganun.
Ayun. Thank you for that, Daniel. So looking back with your code, and not just your code, but also with the codes of others wherein you get inspiration from. Sige, thank you, Daniel. Jeremiah, on your end, your personal tips to our mentees tonight.
From my part naman po, experience ko po sa solving silver challenge ko before, I think po nakatulong sa akin yung pagkakaroon ko ng familiarity sa standard library ng language na ginagamit ko, which is Python. Um, Kasi po that time, I think if I remember it correctly, yung pinapagawa po is related sa math, and you really have to use math library for that. So since ako po familiar ako sa mga methods na available sa Python math library, then hindi po ako nahirapan na i-solve yung mga problems. And also, dagdag ko rin po yung iter tools ng Python na parang andun po yung mga tools for iteration ng mga parang mas powerful po siya na way of looping in Python. Parang with that po parang napabilis po yung pag-solve ko sa isang problem dun sa silver challenge na yun. Uh, which is napadali po talaga uh, yung pag-solve ko ng problem. So I suggest po sa kanila na just like what I did, mahalaga po na they're familiar with the standard libraries na meron yung language nila. Since iba-iba naman po yan per language, pero it could be similar like math, syempre, I think most languages naman, they have established um, math na standard library na makakatulong po talaga sa kanila, especially when math problems yung nasa uh, yung lumabas sa kanila dun sa StackLeague na platform po.
Ayun. Thank you for that, Jeremiah. So, one din, no? It's knowing and understanding the standard libraries. And also, this is very critical. So, for example, just, okay, industry insight naman. So, whenever you go into the industry, let's say for big corporations, one of the things na part ng training or onboarding ninyo is to really read the documentation. So that's very important. Sometimes nakaka-boring siya magbasa lang ng documentation because you have to read everything. Ano ibig sabihin yan? But then once you read those things and then you get familiarity, the moment you start solving problems, you start coding, you would recall na, oy, ano, alam kong nabasa ko to siya before sa documentation na may ganitong function or may ganitong methods pala. So it helps. So as what Jeremiah mentioned, be familiar with the standard libraries. And with that one, ibig sabihin, you really have to read the documentation. And it's also useful then kasi in the future when you will be working with projects in the industry, likely you will have to read the documentation then of the project that you are working on. And iko-connect ko na lang din dito yung sinabi ni Stephen na documentation is very important. So if walang documentation available, your code, the project has to have readable code for you. Kahit walang documentation, you could read and understand the code itself. Okay, sige. With that one, moving on. Stephen, ikaw, ano naman yung tips mo sa mentees natin?
Siguro po same pa rin with my other commenters. One of that is to learn and master, not master, but just be familiarized with standard library functions. Kasi yun ba, yung advantage yan is you don't need to create functions from scratch. You just call them kasi yan, you don't have to, you have to reinvent the wheel. And yun let's say for example sa array sorting, no, there are many algorithms for array sorting, but fortunately may available na array sorting nasa most standard libraries. Then also of course you get to be familiar with the structures kasi importante yan it's always paired with in order for you to have a good algorithm, efficient algorithm, mostly often you will rely on data structures like not only limited to array but also others like list, sets, dictionary, maps, etc. Those stuff. You study lang how they work. And good thing also is meron din it's also available in the standard libraries then. So you just ano na lang, call them na lang. Then with regards to problem solving, I usually just if I have a pseudocode na no, like yung ano ko na lang is how do I I just searched on Google how do I implement a certain as portion of the code, uh, and then if I could find it in Stack Overflow, ano lang copy paste ko na lang yung codes doon. But first I analyze then yung code how it works, and also check ko rin if di ba siya if efficient ba siya kasi yun din it's also important din that you have an efficient code. Hindi lang importante na gumagana yung code mo on your IDE kasi once ilipat mo na yan to the StackLeague na challenge tapos i-submit mo na yung solution tapos mag-wonder ka bakit nagte-test time out kasi yun nga perhaps yun nga there are algorithms that if palaki ng palaki na yung input niya, so nagiging na din patagal din yung running time ng code mo. So that's why you need to study also. Do not take for granted if you are in college the data structural algorithms, time complexities, big O notation, and analysis and design of algorithms like yung greedy algorithm, dynamic programming, etc. Those stuff it's taught in computer science classes. So yeah, do not take for granted for those. You will definitely use that, especially if you are going to pursue some top level positions like software engineer and ano pa ba? Yeah, also, another thing is yun nga na-mention ko yung IDE. So importante din po yan. As mentioned din to my fellow co-mentors. Kasi you can study those codes, and you can also in case na mag-fail ka through your bronze, let's say for example 1 out of 3 yung na-solve mo, at least you could save yung work mo on your IDE, and then perhaps if you could encounter the combination of problems na medyo madali na yan, and then you could also another advantage then when you have your codes written on your IDE is you can grab some codes na ginamit mo before, and then let's say halos similar lang siya sa current problem na sinosolve mo, so you can grab those some snippets. Let's say for example you have uh, generating a combination or permutation of certain elements. Yan, there are instances na na-encounter ko yung permutation combinations. So if I've already created a function for that, and then that problem requires that also that certain idea, ayan, at least copy paste ko na lang. Ayan, and then last, of course, you just try and try. If mag-fail ka ulit, then at least meron kang repository sa ID mo, so that yun, until such time na mag-succeed ka on the silver and gold challenges. So yan, I think pataas na pa. Yan na lang po.
Sige, thank you, Stephen. So let me just summarize this one. Algorithms, very important, everyone. So it's also about efficiency then. And echoing what the other co-mentors mentioned about having your own IDE. And definitely when you try to research and you see code of others, try to understand it themselves. All right. Hold on. Okay, so if mentees, you have any other questions, feel free to chat them here. But if wala na, we can wrap up the session. So mentors, do you have any final message to our mentees? Let's start with Jeremiah.
For my final message po to our mentees, since they are taking now the silver challenge, and I know that they already solved their bronze challenge, they might experience a big gap, or others may find it easy, depending on how they assessed it. I hope that they will able to learn from those experiences, uh, and I hope na you will utilize these learnings that you have acquired from solving these challenges into your future programming uh, endeavors, no? And I also hope that you learned a lot from what we are saying, from the questions that were asked to us by Miss Haifa, from our experiences. And with that, I also want to reiterate what I have said, na keep on trying. You may experience failures, you may experience hardships during your training. And I know the feeling of frustration when you cannot get those questions right. But with right practice, with right determination, I know that we will all be able to get past to those challenges, no? And with that, I wish you all the best, and I hope that you'll be able to get the silver challenge that you deserve, silver certificate that you deserve.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Stephen, what are your final message for our mentees tonight?
I guess ano, I think almost halos na no, na-mention na po ni Jeremiah. Ano lang talaga, just ano lang, moral support. Yun nga, you just try until you be able to conquer the silver challenge. And yun, it's not going to be an easy process to some of you. Just ano lang, um, learn. What matters na lang is the learning experience you get, no, out of this stack league. No, no matter what the outcome, whether you will be able to pass or fail, importante that you learn something that you will definitely use in your future, no, if you're going to venture, if you're going to pursue na in your future career. Ayan po.
Thank you, Stephen. And finally, Daniel, what are your final message for our
Just
mentees?
like just like Stephen po. So ano po, parang enjoy the journey po on conquering the challenges ahead of you. So parang parang don't get frustrated pag ano ka na talo na you didn't get to solve a certain challenge kasi there might be a challenge ahead of you na you will get to solve because you got you remembered yung mga natutunan mo sa mga challenges na nahihirapan ka and all that, yung mga kaka-conquer nyo lang na ganun. Always keep those in mind. Tapos yun nga, always, don't be, always keep your head down. And parang, there's always something new to learn sa programming and we have to have humility to, in order to progress further. Yun.
Ayun. Thank you for that one, mentors, Daniel, Stephen, and Jeremiah. We hope that in the last few weeks we were able to help you mentees in your journey. And again, if you have further questions, you may connect with our mentors through the Stack League platform. So just find their names in the ranking and there's a connect button there and you can connect with them if you have any questions. And with that one, thank you so much again, everyone, Stephen, Daniel, and Jeremiah, for your time and for your stories and for your tips to our mentees. And mentees, that's it. Good luck. And we'll let you know if there would be upcoming mentorship sessions in the next few months. But for the meantime, for the month of April, it has been a really good journey. We learned a lot and I really enjoyed listening to the stories and tips from our mentors. Again, thank you and have a good evening, everyone.